Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. So my name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we find ourselves once more hidden among the towering stacks of your library, your secretive book repair studio.
I thought we'd have another look around here. Over here we have the shelves of the rare leathers which are used in binding the ancient tomes.
So where are these sourced from? Like, are these ancient leathers themselves?
Some of them are, yes. Some people I've got, some high-quality leathers.
You said the word people, and I'm just immediately distressed about, again, the source of these leathers.
Oh, no, it's not people. Not this repair shop. Well, over here, if you look at the window, you've got a lovely view of the duck pond, which I've actually decided I'm going to rename it the reflecting pool. Because it's a very good place to reflect on the fact that you shouldn't leave Velociraptors next to the duck pond.
Well, yes, I've had some chance some time to reflect on that, and if the ducks ever return, maybe we'll find a new preserve for them. Still, sorry about that.
Confit au canard.
Ooh,
duck preserve.
Ah, that's excellent. Well, I appreciate this tour. I have been rather curious because I've been in here this whole last week.
How?
Do you know how my library card doesn't work on the door?
Well, yes.
Well, it doesn't work to let me out either, and I kind of hung out after we did our recording.
I locked the door with you still in here. That must how careless of me. But let's say I'll ask the security guards to see if there were any apprehensions.
Yeah, okay. Are they the ones who photographed me with infrared cameras? Which is where you got the photo of me sleeping, the infrared photo of me sleeping.
Oh no, that was something else entirely.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Like, no, don't worry about that.
I'm interested in meeting these security guards. Like, are they?
No, you're not.
No, okay.
No, you're really not.
They're not human, companionable. Like,
I mean, you can communicate with them. It's fine.
Okay. Well, you can forgive me for my extreme interest in something that you can talk to, given my. I mean, I won't say isolation. Well, we've been doing a weekly podcast.
So you can talk to them. They're not really going to talk back.
Oh, then they're not much better than the Velociraptors.
No, absolutely. And the Velociraptors are a lot better than they are.
I was going to say,
in a lot of
yeah.
places, yes.
Like they've started responding to their names.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Even to the point where some of them have objected to their names. I thought I'd continue with after naming Guinevere, that I'd continue with the King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah. So that's why I saw one of them with a long robe and a pointy hat.
I think I may have started wrong with the Knights of the Round Table. They seem to be more like, I guess, Smurfs. They're picking one affectation each, and that's going to be their identity.
And they're sticking with that. Yeah, could I maybe interest you in like writing down some of this research? I mean, like keep a journal or something?
As long as I know which of the inks are safe.
Oh, there's plenty. Let me grab you one of the blank books from around here. And
now, are those safe?
Well, if I give you the right one, then yes, it should be fine.
Okay, good.
And then just like, I'll just use a box standard ballpoint pen. That should be okay. And again, unless it's a purple one. But
what? No, this is fine. I'm going to accept this at face value, and we're going to quill. Well, there are plenty of duck feathers lying about, so that
I've got a jar of Prussian blue here somewhere.
Prussian blue. What's that?
Well, it's a particular kind of chemical reaction. It makes very pretty blue colors.
Yes. No, I'm kind of excited about this.
Cool.
I'll be. What was the old word for it? Naturalist.
Yes. Just grab one of the ballpoints. So
Science.
The ones I love it. The ones which say the library on the side. You can read that?
Yes. Excellent. Wait, they all say the library on it. Yes. Are there ones that don't say the library on them?
Yes, but maybe not here.
Okay.
I'm just saying
another quest.
This is good.
No, that's fine. That's
simple ballpoint pen.
And then maybe something else is better.
Yes. And as long as they don't write purple, but that should be fine.
And I will find that out as we go along.
You will definitely find that out.
See, I kind of like this. I kind of like
adventure.
Adventure, right? I like these little quests.
I thought you'd be fantastic for the job.
A job?
Well, job.
Well, okay, position, even then, like still, okay. I'm curious to find what position I applied for and how, as I'm sure the audience are as well. But
your card says junior librarian. So.
Holy shit, you're right. It didn't say that before.
I'm sure it did.
No, I think we established in canon that I read it previously, and it just said it's such a library card,
yes,
and then Khaki, and then an infrared photo of me sleeping, and then a whole bunch of silver filigree. But now it also says...
now it's always said...
It has always been... okay.
You might be wrong. You're not wrong that you read it like that.
I'm just wrong to assume that would have still been the case. Okay, then I have one more question. So it says junior librarian.
Yes.
Now, where do I fit on the hierarchy compared to the little librarianess?
She's on the side of the org chart.
That's a very cat thing to do, yeah.
So like technically she reports to me, but cat's reporting.
Does she know that? Because she seems awfully miffed when she's mowing at me and I don't obey whatever the fuck it is that she wants.
That's just a cat thing.
Okay, well then I'll be able to get along.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, junior librarian. Look at me go.
Yeah, there you go.
I've only been here 25 weeks and I'm already...
Moving up in the world.
Where did I start?
You've always been a junior librarian.
Oh, now?
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool. This is getting out of control. Apologies to new readers at home, by the way, for the increasingly unnecessary lore that's spinning out around this literary review podcast. People do seem to enjoy the adventures that I'm having in Kay's library, so we'll continue to report on them. But in the meantime, we have some serious business to do, namely the serious business of reviewing books. So, what do we have in store for our readers this week?
This week's book is Dew Claws by Stephen Gresham.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's related to the other famous Gresham.
That's Gresham with an I. This is Gresham with an E.
Well, you never know with writers. Ian Banks and Ian M. Banks.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It could just be a slightly different spelling of his surname to indicate his different genre. Because this is quite unlike any of the other Gresham novels that people are used to.
Yeah, I think that's very fair to say. Certainly the cover doesn't feature like a concerned, professional-looking mid-20s type.
No.
It features...
it's a skeleton with a banjo and a charming red cat. Because back then, when this book was written, red caps were still charming.
Yeah, it might be a Red Sox fan. Who knows?
It's not a red sock; it's a red cap.
No, I know, but what else would be red? I'm looking at it, and it's bulgier than a. It looks like a baseball cap, but it has an almost cartoony duckbill sweeping up, and the cap over the head is sort of bulbous, which I guess it would have to be in order to fit the skull.
There is a surprising large difference in cap styles. I recently discovered that you've got baseball caps and truckers' hats and this and that. And
wait, they're different?
It's hard to find what the actual difference is.
Yeah,
I've got a fairly big head.
Yeah,
most one size fits all caps don't fit me.
No, same.
It's too tight. It just sits on my head like an eggshell or something like that. It just doesn't work. And you just need a cap with a wide bill, otherwise it makes my head all egg shaped.
Yeah, I've got that too.
Then there's, of course, the whole straight bill and bent bill, and you can start fights by grabbing someone's cap and go like, "Oh, you forgot to bend the bill of your cap," And I'll take the stickers off for you while I'm at it.
No, that'll generally do it. Grabbing something of somebody else's and modifying it for them is like walking through somebody's library and going, "Oh, your spines are uncracked. Here, let me fix that for you."
Well.
No, that wasn't me.
No, I know.
I've seen the cracked spines, and one of my many quests is to find out who cracked those spines.
A lot of the books were already cracked when they were acquired. But yeah, the people who bend the book, take a pocket and kind of bend it over in half.
Yeah, it's ruining it.
A shocking moment also was when a couple who were on vacation together, and they said for some reason decided to go their separate ways for one wanted to go one way, one wanted to go, so they decided I'm just going to go this way for a few days. But they were reading the same book. And one of them was much further in the other one. So she went "Oh, where were you at?" And goes "Oh, I was at page 216. She goes up to 216, takes a bread knife and goes, just cuts the thing down. Okay, you take the second half, I'll take the first half, and in 2 or 3 days when we meet up again, I will. It's just oh my god, you just don't do that, not even to a pocket, It's
I kind of like that.
It's very pragmatic.
It's cool, yeah.
So back to Ronnie Redcap, I think the main character was called.
Oh, is that right? Do you have that on your notes?
Yeah, I have that on my notes.
Okay, well, I guess that's true then.
The banjo player, the front man of the band, so to speak.
His nickname is already kind of an allusion to his quasi-Irish ancestry.
Oh, yes.
The red cap that he wears. A red cap is, of course, a name for one of the mythological creatures.
Yes, one of the Fae.
Yeah, that's right. So
folk.
what are they known for?
Killing people. That's why their caps are red. They kill people and then they use their blood to dye their hats.
I mean, these jolly old legends, these charming little leprechauns. They really are all terrible. I believe Gaelic mythology also has a condition where your soul is just destroyed when you drown.
Oh,
there is no afterlife for you. None of the gods come.
I guess that's why kelpies are such nasty critters.
But not so much Ronnie Redcap. He's rather a jolly chap.
Yes, I mean he just works at his job at the Crawfish Boil and Country Jam, and of course he's got his little band on the side. He plays the open mics night at the Country Jam, of course. The battle of the bluegrass bands in the Crawfish Boil and Country Jam, where they're preparing for. It's like he's excited with his own band.
Yeah, people that he's grown up with. It's the old like summer of '69 kind of story.
Absolutely.
They were in a.
It's his best friend Johnny Five Toes.
Gotta wonder about that nickname.
I mean, there's the scene at the swimming hole just being described as like having 10 toes, and like his feet are completely normal, and so and it's like, why is he called Five Toes? Well, they've got 5 toes on one foot
and 5 on the other. Like
completely straight, and that's his nickname. It's like
it seems like the kind of nickname that someone gives themselves in order to invite these stories and then kind of questions.
That just sticks. And
this was a trend among all of his friends. Like they all have these extremely literal, extremely obvious, like surface level. Like in his case, red cap, and he just wears a red cap all day long. And then you had the local fisherwomen, Ichthya and Plesia.
Ichthya, like the Ichabod. No, where's
Ichthyosaur? Like it means fish lizard.
Oh, okay.
And then Plesiosaur is also an aquatic dinosaur.
So it's not like Itchy and Pleasy or something.
The rowdy gentleman who called them that did not last very long.
No, that's like he ended up with his face in the boil tank until his nose was red as a lobster. So, yes, it's the lead up to the Battle of the Bands, and Ronnie is having like many arguments with his manager, because like he's trying to like skive off and practice, and the manager obviously wants him to keep boiling the crawfish.
But he's like, this is my big chance.
He also knows he's playing in his boss's place, so it's like, But first night of the battle, it's a multi-thing battle which is fought out in various establishments around the county.
They're like deadheads following this battle of the bands around the county, and also it's like it puts some money in the till for various watering hole owners.
Yes, so big is the disappointment for Ronnie when his big rifle Six Dildo Bob shows up with his with his own band. He thinks he has it in the bag. You know how it goes. He's placed it, said a few other bands play, and it's like he's clearly winning, and then suddenly the doors get kicked open, and they go like, "Yeah, we still need to play." And of course, they completely wipe the floor with their song, the Bluegrass Samba from Hell, bringing down the house almost literally.
As much as I appreciate Six Dildo Bob's sense of theatricality, it's something that my new Velociraptor family and I share. Like the way he kicks in the door just when Ronnie Redcap and his... What's his band called?
Oh, I think I forgot to write that down. It's mentioned in the beginning of the book. It's...
Oh, yes, that's right. Him and his band... Swomp Thang.
Oh, Swomp Thang. Yes, of course. Who could forget Swomp Thang?
It's got a lovely twang to
it. You give me everything.
Yeah. You fight everything. That was actually the theme tune to Swamp Thing, the cartoon in the 1990s. You fight everything.
I never saw that.
You make everything nasty.
Yeah. There was the creature of the Black Lagoon.
Did that get a remake?
No, that wasn't. Like, wasn't that the thing that was played by Hannibal Lecter? No, not Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal, what's his name from the A-Team?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he always had that weird ghillie suit type thing because he was always like doing acting jobs and trying to.
Wait, the character Hannibal from the A-Team?
No, yeah,
in character in the A-Team, he was doing acting jobs on the side.
Yes.
And was he always chewing on that same?
Yes, and he had
cigar?
He had this weird like Swamp Thing ghillie suit that he occasionally was in.
Because I always wondered, like, how do these guys get funded? How does anyone get in touch with them?
Apparently they pay. Well, that's the thing. You get in touch through the Chinese laundry. That's like a canonical thing from the story as well.
Oh, wow.
Supposedly you have to pay them, but like it's almost always pro bono because it's always the poor and downtrodden who get in touch with them.
And yet, nevertheless, they can afford to like weld armored trucks together from spare parts that they have lying around.
Exactly. Well, that's always the spare parts, like
And then they machine gun people unconscious and machine gun them into submission, and then. Like, so many of these episodes just end up with them lassoing the bad guys and dropping them off in front of the police station. Book 'em, boys. As if the problem was that the police just couldn't find them. Now that we've found them, we know that they're evil and we can put them in the pokey. Now we can charge them
for the dubious things that they were doing. Next time, stop, or we'll say stop again.
Yeah. Although I do appreciate stories where the conflict is resolved through something other than violence.
Oh, yes.
It's a very hard thing to make exciting.
Well, especially on TV, yeah.
We like theatricality, which is, I guess, why Six Dildo Bob makes such an impression. Like, kicking open the door unannounced, throwing the first 2 of his 6 dildos into the audience. Like the first one is just a surprise. The second one, 6 dildo Bobs in town. And then you're just waiting for the third and fourth, and he just makes you wait for it.
When he uses that last one on the guitar, man, it's like the that's fantastic.
The sustain on that thing.
It just keeps on going. It's
and
like
everybody keeps a count, and then he's down to 5.
I guess they use Energizer batteries for them.
Those are vibrators you're thinking of. Dildos are just... Do you know what dildos are? Do you know where the word comes from? There is a town called Dildo, which shares its name with a manufacturer of very early glass test tubes.
Oh. Okay, I can see where this is going.
Right?
So you can if you're using a glass tube.
Oh, God. Okay. Moving safely along.
Moving swiftly
Fortunately,
onwards.
none of the dildos the 6 dildo Bob throws into the audience are hollow and made of glass.
Yes,
they're just quite responsive. They're the bouncy ones. Like, it's kind of a cool thing to be able to catch one of 6 dildo Bob's dildos. And, like, you stick them on your forehead and, hey, look at me, I'm a dickhead.
6 dildo Bob wins this episode of the Battle of the Bands, hands down, and Ronnie is sitting, moping away in his crawfish after the...
You can understand how dejected he is.
Oh, totally.
Because this is like, he's the local favourite.
Oh, absolutely.
And then in comes 6 dildo Bob, and like most of these Battle of the Bands, it's a voice vote.
Yeah, shouting the players down, which brings in the character of Diodante. I mean, he was in the audience, he was watching, and he's like sitting there, like maybe like... People were speculating about who he is. It's like, is he a scout? Is he like...
Yeah, they thought at first that he was a critic.
Yes.
So there was clearly someone who was there looking to be impressed and not being impressed.
Goes up to Ronnie and tells him, I see you've got the chops, boy, but you don't have the talent.
Yeah, you've got the spirit, but you don't have the training.
Diamond in the rough.
Diamond in the rough.
It's like he's got a face for radio, I believe the phrase is.
He's going to come to appreciate what he had previously.
There's that, yes.
But yeah, this was a moment of like it's a real sort of local triumph where he's down in the dumps. Like he knows that he's going to have to face 6 dildo Bob in the finals, and in their current state, they really don't stand a chance because 6 dildo Bob just needs to play the bluegrass samba from hell again for a fresh audience.
Like those wailing guitars, and it'll bring him down, and it's like he just doesn't have the thing to stand up to that.
No, none of their like old standby songs, like Swomp Thang. They like their.
It's a lot of ding 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 ding.
Well, yeah, I mean he plays the banjo, which is a complicated instrument to play, by the way.
Oh,
you ever looked into it?
So it's a picking thing. It's like you got like
but there's a whole lot of components to the instrument that you have to maintain or it falls apart.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There's something called a drone string, tenor banjos, and there's a ukulele banjo,
and you got 6-string banjos, which are just like basically weirdly tuned guitars. But yeah, the 5th string on a banjo is on a traditional banjo. It only goes about halfway up the neck. It's significantly shorter.
Okay.
And the characteristic sound comes from the fact that the bridge is resting on the drum phase, and that causes a little modulation in the sound that banjos are so known for.
Does that also result in why they're so loud? They're really loud.
I think that's because it depends on the type of banjo, because you've got like open back banjos, and you've got banjos with reflector. There's a big difference in those. But yeah, you needed that in the past. You needed it to stand up to the louder instruments that.
Of course.
In bands.
Certainly once. Okay. So I know a little bit about music history of the Indonesian immigrants in the Netherlands. They brought rock and roll with them, which Indonesia had access to thanks to the Pacific connection with Hawaii and American soldiers. So they introduced rock and roll to the Netherlands in the post-war period, but they were really averse to drums because they were too loud.
Yes.
So they very quickly embraced electric guitars, electric instruments. There's a great story by one of the surviving members of rather a famous like Indo rock band tells the story about how he started playing guitar while his brother was initially much more successful as an athlete.
Yes.
He's being groomed for the Dutch Olympic team, but then he became jealous of his younger brother, so the man who's telling the story, who was surrounded by girls all the time because he was playing his guitar. Can you get me one of those things, because that seems to be a chick magnet. So being a good younger brother, he went off off to one of his girlfriends and talked to her dad and got him to loan a guitar for his brother to practice on. And then he finally did that, which he thought was a great favor.
Yeah.
And then he went into the garage where he saw his big brother taking wire cutters to the guitar. Because it's like, no, and he's like, no, 6 strings is too much. Clang, clang, 4. That's what I can handle. I've got 4.
Wow.
Became rather a good bassist as a consequence.
I would hope so, yeah. Gee.
He's sort of like, I sort of imagine him like Bodhi from that animated cartoon Rock Dog, where he has like a...
He actually puts extras, because they have like the traditional yak instruments or something, like goats actually, but yeah.
It sort of looks
and
like
he puts extra strings on.
Yeah, higgledy-piggledy.
The drum thing, it's not unusual. Drums were like banned in the Grand Ole Opry for the longest time. It's like if you want a rhythm section, use a stand-up bass. You know, you're not allowed to have drums. I can't remember who it was, but at some point someone went like, "Screw it! I'm just like going to blow that rule, and I'm going to have a drummer on." Well, you know, if you know what you're doing, then
which apparently they do,
it makes a difference. So,
and according to Dio Dante, Ronnie Redcap and Swomp Thang do know what they're doing. Like,
yeah, I mean, he says like he can make it happen. He can take them to the top,
and all you got to do
is sign it on the dotted line. Yeah, like break off that crawfish leg, stab yourself in the thumb with it, and like write your name in blood. Well, I think it's Cajun sauce at that point, but like the implication is quite. The week afterwards, they're playing in Hell's Scullery.
It's up in New Yonkers.
Yep, and that's Six Dildo Bob's hometown. So Six Dildo Bob's kind of like playing for the home crowd.
Yeah, you've got it in the bag.
This is a shoe-in.
I mean, they arrive and half the audience is waving dildos in the air.
Exactly.
And dildo.
I think it's really well done in the book that after they do the whole contract signing thing, the story jumps over to Bob's perspective for a bit. He's like riding the town. He's got all the chicks or the boys and talk of the town, cock of the walk.
I really appreciated that as well. Like flipping this perspective of a more successful like rival as a villain, and flipping it like he's also a local country hero. Who worked his way up. Yeah, exactly. He had to earn his reputation, and he had to build a brand, as we call it these days. So from his perspective, the opportunity that's being afforded to Swomp Thang, one that he was working for so hard, is now snatched away from him.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal of the Battle of the Bands, hoping to get noticed and break through, is now passed by, despite the fact that he's on his way to win, has already been given to Ronnie Redcap with Swomp Thang.
Ronnie shows up with his band and he actually plays it a little bit meek. He lets Six Dildo Bob do his gloating bit and then like he completely smashes it out the ballpark, I believe they called it in America. And,
is that what they smashed it out the ballpark? Is that an expression?
I don't know. It's like
I mean, I know it's hitting it out the park.
Hitting it out of the park. I don't know.
No, I like yours better.
Smashing
See, I like idioms that go on that are just a little bit too expressive and just a little bit too explanatory. Like it's not just keep your head on a swivel. It's no, do extra yoga and really rotate your neck like an owl. That's a much better idiom.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, let's smash it out of the ballpark with our hammers.
So yeah, Ronnie like wins it in the final round, despite having to claw his way back from being behind in score. He still manages to like bring in the Battle of the Bands and get set off on his wave of success.
Old-fashioned tropes that I do still kind of appreciate, where self-confidence is so important and so like a much bigger factor than even the training that the characters have done.
Well, and Dio paying off people in the back.
There's plenty of examples in literary history of someone being given a magic talisman that makes them very good at something, and no, like, it's just a rock.
Dumbo,
you just needed to believe in
and
yourself.
The feather and
Ron Weasley and the little bottle of luck.
Oh yes,
in Harry Potter
when he was doing the Quidditch.
Yes, that's right. Thing. I know that Dio Dante was probably finagling a little behind the scene, but I do like to believe that it was mostly the shot of confidence, because Ronnie Redcap and Swomp Thang are excellent musicians.
Yes, they ride their wave. They get the local radio gig that went with the winning the Battle of the Bands, which he almost deems below himself.
Yeah. His arrogance it goes for all of them. Yes. Johnny Five Toes and Zoltaire. No, Johnny Five Toes and Zoltaire. Like, you immediately know who's the drummer, right? He's the one who doesn't have a name that fits with the rest of the pattern. But yeah, like they all start getting too big for their britches within minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
Of signing this contract that none of them read.
And, Dio goes like, well, congratulations. Like, oh, well, I'd like you guys to play on my little soiree.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, come on, we can't do that. We're too big. And goes like, oh, no, you really should. I mean, don't you owe it to your good pal Dio, don't you? And
yeah.
He goes like, he begrudgingly admits that he does. And, there's like, he gets told to show up for the...
Monster Mash.
Monster Mash, that's the way he goes to show up.
Yeah. It was a graveyard smash. So they walk in, and it really fits all the stereotypes of that popular novelty song where they have to enter the venue through a laboratory because I was working in my lab late one night. Do we know the rest of the words between us?
I don't.
Do you know the Monster Mash at all?
I've heard.
They did the mash. They did the Monster Mash. It was the Graveyard Smash.
Who sang that?
I know it was popularized by the likes of Dr. Demento. I have a friend who wrote a song called Make America Great Britain Again, which I believe was requested by Dr. Demento himself. He was very proud when he got that email.
I can well imagine.
So yeah, they show up to the Monster Mash, and I guess... I mean, one of the first things they see when they walk in is a brandy glass full of brown M&Ms, which... they take no notice of, but which I think was Diodante giving them a little hint that they should have read the fine print.
Yes,
because of do you know which band it was?
I think that had Van Halen.
Van Halen, that sounds like Dutch Indonesian rockers, yes, by the way. Yeah. In their standard rider, like on page 18, the rider is the contract that's signed by every venue.
Specifies
like
everything.
The electricals, like the supplies that they need, what kind of plugs and what kind of staff and all of that. And like page 18 listed a brandy glass full of brown M&Ms.
A bowl of M&Ms with all the brown ones removed.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
The brandy glass, that was an exaggeration of this story in, I think, Wayne's World 2.
Yeah, and it's basically them, like, if it's there, then they know that they've read the contract and they've probably done what it says, and if it's not, then that means everything needs to be checked up to and including the load capacity of the stage, because it has happened that, like, people show up and they go like, yeah, whatever, it's like, we've got a big, strong stage, and then the band starts loading it up and they crashed through it simply because the stage wouldn't hold their equipment. And it's literally because of that stuff that they went to, that they had that thing in the contract.
That and like various electrocutions and light failures, fires.
It was like we need to like make sure that they know what the hell they're talking about.
So the Monster Mash seems well equipped for Swomp Thang to do their thing.
Yeah, and they think like, oh, this is a cool dress up party. It's like it's called Bal Masque or whatever.
Bal Masque.
Bal Masque. That's what it is. I always forget when the E is and when it isn't silent. It's.
Well, whenever it has an accent, oh god, I saw a fantastic joke on Twitter. You can either live as a fan of the linguistic accent or you can die a critic. Oh, the woman who wrote that, she is my hero.
I think I felt that one somewhere beneath my third rib.
Well, I really like it, and I tell you what, I'm going to credit this woman in the show notes. Oh! By the way, for the readers at home, we've been talking about it for a while, but if you look down at your podcasting device right now, you should be seeing today's cover. And otherwise, you can look in the show notes for an image and a link, and credits to this fantastic tweet. And so, this is when things start going, getting out of hand.
Dio going
right?
like, "Hey guys, you're not in costume yet," with his sly little grin on his face,
and 2 electrodes in his hands.
Oh well, you can kind of imagine the fact that he's like the way he's looking at Ronnie's neck. He's like he's searching for 2 bolts, which are supposed to be sticking out the sides there.
I think that's Johnny Five Toes' ultimate fate.
Oh yes, gets his guitar hooked up.
What happens to Zoltaire? There is an unfortunate legendary history of drummers expiring in significant bands, because obviously it's one of the more like physically demanding instruments. So him literally just dying in the middle of the show and then getting back up
And he keeps going.
Well, the flesh is sagging.
Yeah, I mean, David Grohl's got nothing on this guy. I mean, he plays through with a broken leg. This guy plays through when he's dead. He had his brandy glass of flesh-eating bacteria, which he wasn't aware of, and it gets.
Oh no! I think that was Ronnie Redcap that took that particular drink of the.
Yes.
Because at first, do you remember in this book that we read? At first, Ronnie Redcap and Zoltaire think that they're both suffering the same fate. Like their skin grows sallow and their muscles start to atrophy. But while Zoltaire stands back up and with his rotting flesh can at least continue drumming, it comes just sloughing off of poor Ronnie Redcap's body, to his great surprise. And like there's a kind of a parallel, I thought, to those stress dreams of being nude in while performing. Mm-hmm. That this really rang like not only do
that's what you mean.
You know, his literal flesh comes off of his bones, leaving him a blue-eyed skeleton
until he's just wearing his red cap. One advantage of being that happening to you is you don't need a guitar pick anymore.
That's true. That's true.
But to be honest, fretting is like a lot harder. On the other hand, you can play a slide now. You have to get your the right part of your finger on your.
So over the course of this monster mash, where they're per their due clause in their contract, they find themselves transformed into the preternatural creatures of the night.
Yes.
Alongside all the other members of the Bal Masqué, who are quite delighted that their ranks are being filled out by some of these. And let's be fair, fairly talented country yokels that need to be inducted into the ways of the city and the nightlife. Nightlife. It could have been a story that was about mockery and about exploitation. Like, Diodante tricked them into this fate that they didn't know they were signing up for.
Yeah.
But once there, like, they're not the laughing stock. Like, they are, I mean, one of the few sets of musicians in this community
it's
of
one of the things that Dio does. I mean, it's like his devilish reputation. I mean, he is the man at the crossroads. He is the guy who makes the deals. He's the man with the golden fiddle. Like, I play Johnny with the fiddle, and someone else goes like, you lost that match. He goes like, I threw that. Everybody knows that. He's the mover and the shaker, literally, when it comes to the music business in the infernal circuit.
The fact that he doesn't immediately lose interest in them kind of made me hopeful that this would be a story about like their ascent to success. But success, as we all know, has a bit of a downside, namely arrogance. And we saw Ronnie Redcap falling
he was
to
playing that. Yeah, like immediately.
The band falls to the stress of all of its members like feeling that they should be more successful than the band itself is allowing them to be.
Yes, but that's a common thing in bands.
Resulting in the inevitable but highly dramatic breakup where they all follow their solo careers.
Yes. Much to Dio's displeasure. I mean, he made the deal. He's like,
it was for Swomp Thang. That's what they wanted. This sound, this camaraderie through music, this brother and sisterhood.
Yeah, not realizing that that whole thing, like it might have been a slightly broken family dynamic that they had, but it worked for them. It made their music the thing that it was. It made for interest.
In part because they shared so much in their lives. They were from similar backgrounds. They faced similar struggles. They spent their whole lives together. Went to school together. Yeah, and now like one of them's a skeleton, one of them's a vampire, and one of them's a werewolf, and one of them's a zombie, and they have to learn from the other members of the infernal circuit. What that means, and now they have different life experiences and different priorities, resulting in different bands, such as, my favorite was the werewolf hippie family band. The werewolf, who was originally the rather curiously named Tony the Tiger, like also not a very good nickname, but it just seems like, that they just came up with right on the spot and really didn't put a lot of thought into. Once he got over the disappointment that he wasn't being transformed into a were-tiger, which he now knew existed, but no, he's a boring werewolf. But he very quickly found love and companionship in what seemed to be a bit of an Anita Blake crossover. Do you know Anita Blake?
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, she's a hero in a whole series of books about her as like an executioner or a federal marshal. I believe like that
Veronica Mars, but then
what?
Never mind. Keep going.
Hamas?
Veronica Mars.
Oh.
I said, but...
Well, yes. It's also like Twilight in that she has a vampire and a werewolf boyfriend, and more power to him. Yeah, I mean, we would too in that situation, and so does Tony the Tiger the werewolf, who very quickly, because the reproductive cycle of wolves is a bit shorter.
Well, yes.
he can very quickly, with his new mate and brood, start essentially the Partridge Family as werewolves.
Well, more like the Brady Bunch, but yeah.
No, I think I was right with the Partridge Family, which are an actual family band on television.
Oh, okay.
But so it broke up into a number of other outfits, including Zoltaire's Aberzombie and Stitch, which yes, and Johnny Five Toes' Krankenstein.
Ronnie himself starting the King's Feet. Because going like, you've got a place called the King's Head and the King's Arm, and he goes like, there's no such thing as the King's Feet. So let's do that. Nobody's done that before.
I appreciate that it's described as essentially a skeletal Kraftwerk.
Yes.
After the German like super bizarre minimalist electro.
Yeah, where they just like stand there still and like move as little as possible, and
to the great dismay of Diodante, and like this cool country band has now fallen apart into utterly undesirable music outfits.
Something that is less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. Now, of course, I'm fond of familial outfit. So while I appreciate Tony the Tiger, the Werewolf's family band, like none of them are particularly good or successful, and this is an experience of
much to Dio's dismay, who had his reputation, a large chunk of his reputation riding on the success of Swomp Thang.
Yeah, in order to get dispensation to give the gift of the night to 5 uninducted strangers all at once, like they had to contribute something seriously, and instead
he delivered, but it then fell apart, which is, I guess it's like the story of music.
That sort of rise and fall, and as gradually all of these rivals now, who blamed each other for holding them back, now realize that it was only through each other that they had success.
Until the inevitable comeback of the band.
The reunion.
The reunion of the band, yes, of course. They catch wind of the upcoming infernal event, Death Aid, which is... which brings them back together from their broken individual careers.
Well, you have Diodante trying to get money to starve Africa burn crops.
It's all in
we
case.
need the money now.
No, yeah, exactly. It's like it's all for assisted suicide and like.
Oh my god, that got dark really quickly. But yeah, so they find an opportunity where each of them was going to perform independently for Death Aid, and all of their plans have fallen through.
Yeah,
until they find themselves there,
shoehorned together on stage, and lots of sheepish looks.
And then Ronnie Redcap puts his red cap back on, grabs himself a banjo, whispers off mic, "Devil went down to Georgia, neighborhood of B," and off
walks
they go.
Walks off the stage like, "Here we are Swomp Thang," and
fuck.
Never mind. Yeah.
Way to be stealthy. What are you doing? You're just trying to dispose of your pen for no reason.
No, I was trying to throw it at the cat.
Well, the cat's not bothered.
No, clearly not. She didn't even
What did it bounce off of? Yeah, Kay is doing some administration to the little librarianess who's doing things that she's not supposed to be doing. I like her little activation noise, the little...
Yeah, like a little booting sound.
Yeah. So, as hard as it is to describe the glory of a reunion like music performance to a roaring crowd in text, I think Mr. Gresham does a
good job,
pretty decent job.
He manages to get the atmosphere, the enthusiasm, the relief, and the refound camaraderie of the band back together, and it's like especially how like they have the whole kind of like schoolboy caught look, like when they're staring at each other on the stage and realizing that like
they've said some horrible things to each other,
and they've all been really foolish about it.
Yeah,
and, it's a happy end, I'd say.
Well, I think so, because it's not like in no case is it that one form of success invalidates a different one. Like these other bands continue to exist, except now everyone's like a guest artist every now and again in up to 5 different. Tony the Tiger, the Werewolf, figures out electronica, so he can join along with King's Feet. And Johnny Five Toes joins Klaxon 5.
Yes,
finally making his name make just a tiny bit of
relevant
sense.
Yes.
Of course, once he joins the Klaxon 5, there are now 6 of them. So once again, his 5 toes doesn't make a lot of sense. But like at least it comes together, and they
absolutely.
They find themselves enriched by the experience. And I'm a sucker for that kind of story.
It's a good way to wrap it up.
So how should we rate this book?
How many bones in a human body? 276?
200 and odd. Yeah, I think it's low 200s. I think high 200s is for children, but then a lot of them fuse over the course of your life. Because the different bones of your skull, I think, even count as separate ones when you're a baby. When you've got the fontanelle.
Yes, 270 bones at birth, and it decreases to 206, so we're both right.
Whoa,
yeah.
we're both very close.
We were like,
wow,
very good on the... That's more fusion than I thought there would be, but yeah.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 206 bones in the human body. Okay, yeah. I think that's fair. I think this is a highly rated book.
It's a book that matures well.
Yeah, we've done some cracking puns here that I hope everyone can enjoy. Do we have a little recap of some of our favorites? I really liked Death Aid.
Thank you.
That one really got me. Also, it was kind of a missed opportunity that while all of them take guest roles in each other's band, Johnny Five Toes never joins the King's Feet, which is the one. Like he joins the Klaxon 5, turning it into the Klaxon 6,
but messing it up again. I mean, messing it up
King's
is
Feet
like
would
Johnny's
have been great.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, bless him.
He's like the lovable goof who never gets it right.
But I like that about this story. The one thing that I missed, and the one reason why I think that it misses out on 64 bones out of the human body that it could otherwise have achieved, is there's no resolution with Six Dildo Bob, and to see what he's done with his life in the meantime.
Well, maybe he becomes Dio's next little project. It's a shame that never showed in the book.
Maybe one day we'll have a sequel called 8 Dildo Bob.
2 more? That's dangerous, man.
Yeah, but then if it's 7 Dildo Bob, then you kind of know, okay, he's just moved on. If it's from 6 Dildo Bob, and it's 8 Dildo Bob, he's like, wait, what happened to 7?
Yeah, so that's
that's
an entirely
mystery.
different story.
Exactly, that's how you build narrative interest.
Yes.
So, speaking of narrative interest, while we here at Cover My Ass love being your dirty little secret, we also enjoy it when you maybe mention us to a friend, and if that friend is like iTunes, and if you whisper to them 5 stars, like that would be pretty groovy, and then something magical might happen, like on a warm sunny day, a happy little cloud sort of following you around to just offer you a little bit of shade every now and again if you feel like it.
But not rain.
Probably something cool will happen if you mention us to a friend, but regardless of that, we are going to continue. What do we have in store for our readers next week?
Right. Next week's book is by William Cook. It's his wonderful entrepreneurial advice, Ducks and How to Make Them Pay.
Ducks and How to Make Them Pay. I think that about covers it. Thank you for joining us here at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed, but not read by yours truly and our little librarian. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
Ducks and How to Make Them Pay. I think Guinevere must have read that one.
Oh, clearly.
Did you leave it out by accident?